Hello, hello, Edson Oliveira here. This is the May edition of the TADUG user group, the meetup, the Toronto area DNN user group, which, to be honest, it goes way beyond Toronto. It goes Canada-wide, it goes North American-wide, it goes, everywhere. So if you are watching this afterwards, great. If not, I hope that you have a chance at some point to come and join us online live in our monthly meetup. So this is May 1st 2019. It is 6:30 p.m. That's the first Wednesday of every month that we have our meetup, 1.5 hours. Hours or hour? Not sure. I'm gonna research on that. Anyway, let's get things moving along here. We have a little agenda here to go through, and we have our main presentation. So agenda, as usual, we have a few acknowledgements to make, a few announcements, a little bit of group time where I go around just asking people around how are they doing. The main presentation, which is the reason why you are watching this afterwards or here online with us. So the main presentation is structured content with live visualizer. And then we have a meeting wrap up. Okay, so first a few acknowledgements. Some of our sponsors here. We have DNN for Less in the person of Jesse Haggerty. So Jesse, thank you very much for your continued support for the user group. We have EasyDNN, who provided a few of the mods that we use. We have also Hofflin Software from Andrew Hofflin, who gave us a big hand putting the site together. It's time for us to do something else on the site as well. So again, I just want to acknowledge the sponsors that have been able to contribute to get us started and keep us moving forward. Okay, so announcements. Well, this is a mix of announcements and news. So let me clear the agenda here. By the way, it's funny because it's the second time in a row that a few hours before our meeting, there's a brand new release of DNN. So as you can see here, and you guys in the chat, I think, yeah, you can all see, there was a release 4 hours ago of DNN 932. It was just a few days ago, a few weeks ago, it was in a release candidate. But again, just 4 hours ago, we have the new minor release ready for production here. So that's a minor release, which is more of a stabilization release, more of taking care of cleaning some minor issues, some minor problems. But hey, it came live just now. Now we also, if we have a look at the road ahead of DNN, we have DNN 9.4 coming up by the end of May, mid-May, end of May, if all goes well with the schedule of the roadmap. So those are the two things that I wanted to highlight to you in terms of what's going on with the new versions of DNN. So again, hot off the press, DNN version 932 is live. And continue with what I would say our news segment. I don't want to make this a full-blown news, but just a snippet of what has been happening lately within the DNN space. I focus on a few major events. So DNN Connect is coming up in just about a month, actually just a little bit over a month. It's happening in Champernay, Switzerland, and there are a lot of people already excited about that event. As you can see on their page, they're gonna be doing a lot of stuff, beyond DNN. They're gonna be hiking and climbing and mountain biking and tennis and swimming and ice skating. I'm already tired of just reading the list of things that those guys will be doing there. I just want to see if they'll be talking about a little bit about DNN here somewhere. They might. But again, they seem to be planning quite a lot of extra DNN, beyond DNN activities here. And I also saw that they are they are having a, no, let's see, what is this? 2,000 meters straight to sky region. This is where they're gonna be having the closing dinner. So again, they're gonna have a lot of fun over there. So I wanted to mention that. Not sure. Let me see if there's anybody here in the call going there. I'll ask Mandeep in a second, but yeah. So DNN Connect happening just a little bit over a month. As a segue, closer to us, we have the announcement of the DNN Summit that will be happening next year in February in the sunny Florida. So the last 3 years has been in Denver, Colorado, just around the same time. But again, next year, 2020, Florida, sunny Florida, it will be the house of the next DNN Summit. That's as far as I know at this point. And as we get closer, we'll get more information about that. But we are back again in Florida for well, it used to be called something else back then, but again, the get together, North America get together, is back once again in Florida. Moving on here, again, I don't intend that this to be a full-blown news update. If you want to get more news and more information, more up-to-date information in the DNN ecosystem, you may want to visit the DNN Digest, which is put together by Clint Patterson every single month. This is the April edition, which, to be honest, I mean, I guess that he should be about to release the May edition of the DNN Digest, but it's a good scoop, it's a good summary of what is happening in the DNN space. On top of that, we have our own DNN News, DNN Monthly News, which we just, we just celebrate our 5th anniversary. So this is also a good place to get yourself up to date to what's going on in the DNN ecosystem. Okay, let me see. Great, so those are the news items that I wanted to mention quickly. I want to acknowledge some of the new members of our user group. Let me refresh the page here to see if anyone has joined last minute here. But in the last month, we have, let me see, let me scroll down. We have Julia from, let's see, Julia from Princeton, New Jersey. Welcome, Julia. We also have Eric Smith from, let's see, from Toronto. So a local peep here to me. So again, Eric, welcome to the group. I don't think that you guys are here. No, you are not, but that's fine. That's fine. You can catch this afterwards when I send the recording to everyone. So welcome to the new members. And moving on, because you are not here to listen to me rambling. So actually, before we move on, let me go back here. I didn't acknowledge the peeps in the chat. So so we have a few members of Mandeeps. So we have and I'm gonna bastardize your names, guys, but again, correct me right away. But I'm gonna try my best here. So Gandeep Sin. Did I make just?
It's Gagandeep.
Gagandeep.
There we go.
Sin. And then, so welcome. We have John Cornelison. John Cornelison. I'm trying my best here. So welcome, John. Louis Hill as well. We have, of course, Mandeep Singh. Mandeep, we'll talk in a second with you. We have Manish Kumar from Mandeeps as well. We have Mark Balsam. Mark, again, welcome. Good to see you around. Mark Howell. Mark, again, good to see you. Good to have that interaction a few days ago with you, that exchange of emails. Narain, welcome as well. And those are the peeps. So we have a good crowd here. And again, if you are watching this afterwards, welcome to you as well. Ask questions, maybe suggest new guesses. Oh my. Anyway, just want to go quickly here through the group, and let's go to the main parts of our conversation. Structured content with live visualizer. So we have Mandeeps, we have the Mandeeps team here with Mandeep Singh, Mandeep Singh, and Manish Kumar to talk to us about their new products. Mandeep, is it still in preview mode or is it released already? Tell me a little bit about that.
So, Ederson, it's still in preview, but we're very close to release. I believe we'll be wrapping up development here within a week. So we'll have a code freeze in about 5 more days, and then just getting it ready for release. So yeah, we're 95% there. Just getting to release. I'm foreseeing a release this month. So awesome. Yeah, definitely. Just inching towards it.
Very good, very good. So before I know I pass the ball to you. Let me just give a bit of an intro about you, about Mandeeps, and your team as well. So let's see here. Okay, Mandeeps will be talking about their newly released, well, I don't say released yet, so it's almost there, but structured content solution for DNN and Evoq as well, which is called the Live Visualizer. Live Visualizer works in tandem with the already popular Live Forms module, and it's designed for end users, no developer skills required, which is very good. I mean, I'm a big fan of tools and things that are straightforward, not too many settings, not overwhelming with settings. So again, looking forward to see more details here. But let me just finish this. So no developer skill required, not even a single line of code or technical jargon. Write content once and use it anywhere with emphasis on data security, reusability, and ease of use. This is a structured content solution that is feature rich and users will love. That's the promise that Mandeep is making to us right now. Just gonna talk a little bit about the team as well that will be presented. That's the first time that we have a group presenting, to our user group. So we have Manish Kumar. Manish is a technical lead at Mandeeps.com with over 5 years of experience. He actively manages core technology framework, community engagement modules, and live visualizer as well. Their structured content solution. He completed his MCA from Kalinga University in India and has been recently promoted to DADS. Welcome to the group. It's not a very easy position to be, I have to say, but welcome.
Yeah, he knows that through his sleepless nights.
Yes, I mean, who doesn't? Oh. Sleepless nights, days, years.
Years.
enjoy when they are little. Anyway, about Mandeep Singh. He is the vice president and backbone of Mandeeps.com. With almost 10 years of experience, he oversees day-to-day operations, human resources, and customer experience. He provides the strategic direction and actively manages the UX design across Mandeep's entire product line. And of course, last but not least, we have Mandeep Singh. Mandeep Singh is the CEO of Mandeeps.com, one of the leading vendors in the DNN ecosystem with over 15 years in business within the DNN space, 50 plus products, and over 10,000 customers worldwide. Very good, very good. Welcome, Mandeep.
Thanks, Ederson.
Awesome. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make you presenter. You can take it from there. As I mentioned to you, I'm gonna monitor the chat. If anyone has any questions as we go along, I'll be taking a look. I'll be interrupting you here and there with my own questions as well. But again, I'll be making you the presenter. Yep.
All right, let me know if you can see my screen.
I can.
All right, great. Hey, so let's get started. Thanks, Ederson, for that very warm welcome. and introducing us all. Live Visualizer, something I'm very excited about. We spent a lot of time building this product, and I have the entire team here today. I have Manish, who's the technical lead on the product, and we have also Gagan here, who is the vice president and responsible for the entire user experience throughout our entire line of products. We don't have Narain on the video, but he's also joining us. He's there in the chat. He's working with Manish on Live Visualizer, and he's his Manish's right hand to make sure that Live Visualizer becomes an extremely useful product. So let's get started. What is Live Visualizer? So when we started defining requirements, we looked at some of the existing tools that were out there, but we wanted to do something of our own. We didn't necessarily want to go ahead and just do something that the existing product does. So we're trying to solve several different problems here with Live Visualizer. The first one being is it's our structured content editing solution. So that's one. The second thing that we try to address with Live Visualizer is more of an app builder concept, which we're going to go ahead and add on to later releases with some extensible data sources, and we'll cover all this in detail as we go on. And the third aspect of Live Visualizer for us is it's a headless CMS kind of concept. Is you create once and publish everywhere. That means you could take your data. This is similar to liquid content that you get in DNN Evoq, that you have your data in your centralized content library, and now you can either publish it to your site, or you can push it onto your a mobile app, or you can have it connected through Alexa apps or one of these internet connected devices and so forth. So basically you write and manage, author and manage content in one place and then use it everywhere. So we are trying to address all those three solutions with Live Visualizer.
Mandeep, let me ask this, just for the ones that don't know, and I might be a little bit included on that as well. Define a little bit better, what is a headless CMS?
Yeah, absolutely. So headless CMS is basically now the concept, like we got DNN, right? We got our CMS, but we have pages and we have modules and content. And headless CMS is a CMS that is back-end without a head or without a frontal or visual presentation to it. So all you're doing is adding content at just pure content level. There's no presentation, there's no HTML that's going on. So you're adding and managing content, and now you can decide to use that content on a site, on a mobile device, wherever you want. So the CMS, headless CMS, is only doing content management, but not content presentation. That is not part of it.
Thank you, awesome.
So we're trying to solve that. If somebody wants to use DNN platform as a headless CMS, they could put Live Visualizer on it, don't have to use the entire platform to do as in presentation, but they can use it to manage their content and then have that content presented through multiple channels. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at each of these in detail. I mean, we're going to spend majority of our time here on structured content editing. That's 90% of what Live Visualizer is. And then app builder and headless CMS is we're going to just touch upon it briefly and do quick demos. And we'll expand on those in subsequent releases. All right, so let's look at structured content. So for our demo, or for purpose of Live Visualizer, when we are talking about structured content, we're concerned with four things. First is the actual structure, the content structure, or if you're familiar with Evoq liquid content, then this is content type. You're defining your content. So that's that. The second concept we're looking at is managing your content. So we have a centralized content library where all the content's pooled together, and it's super easy to go ahead and manage it. You don't have to look at it at 1,000 different pages where the content is. Everything comes together in one centralized library. The third aspect of our structured content solution is the visualizers. This is where HTML and templates come in play to actually present your data in a module on different pages. And the fourth aspect, and my favorite by far, is the content selection and filtering. Once you have a centralized content library, you could have 1 million records in there. So it's quite of a limitation or a challenge to then go find the data you want to show on a particular page. So we spend a lot of time and effort into making sure that that's as seamless as possible. And that's where I'm go on to say you don't have to write complex queries or complex visualizations or funnels to be able to get to the data you want. So these are the 4 things that we're going to look at in terms of what structured content solution that Live Visualizer offers. So let's look at the first one, and that is the content structure. So what we did, Ederson, with Live Visualizer is we reuse live forms. We had a product that's been mature, that's been out there for years, had tons and tons of functionality and features. So we basically built that into Live Visualizer. So you could use live forms to build any content structure you like. If you're familiar with live forms, then you already know it's super easy to use, drag and drop, what you see, what you get kind of interface. With our latest version 5 update, it does multi-column, so you can simply resize the columns just by drag and drop and add and so forth. So you get all that functionality. And when I say all that functionality, I literally mean every single functionality of live forms. We didn't make it a sub-product and added it in. That means any actions or extensions that live forms have, you can use within Live Visualizer. And we got close to over a dozen or so, including electronic signatures and talking to dozens of different third-party services and so forth.
So Mandeep, if I may interrupt you there. So live forms come together as, so you get Live Visualizer and live form, or live form is a feature inside of Live Visualizer? I mean,
so in terms of actual product, Live Visualizer is an independent product, but it requires that you have live forms purchased and installed. It is not built into it. They're still kept as 2 separate products. You are still welcome to use live forms all by itself. If you already have live forms, you can simply install Live Visualizer. If you just want Live Visualizer, you have to also purchase live forms and install it, because that's a requirement for it to install. It wouldn't even install if you don't have live forms installed.
Okay.
All right. So one of the other things that we did in Live Visualizer is we started with the security first and not as an afterthought. So when you are creating structures, you get to decide at granular level who can see this data, who can edit it, who can update it, who can delete it, who can export it. So you do that at individual content structure level rather than grouping everything in a module or in a centralized library level. So this way, you have, let's say, employees as your structure, and you're managing, showing their salaries to HR department. You really don't want other people to see it, so you can enforce it at data level. Nobody can overwrite that. So you cannot go to a module and somebody can misconfigure it to, by mistake, show the data that you never intended for it to go. So the permissions are managed at content or data level, not at presentation or module level. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do a quick little demo on how do we create structures in Live Visualizer. So I'm just gonna switch over here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do right here. And this is what you're looking at is a DNN 9.3 one site that just locked me out. So let me log right back in. It has our Porto theme installed just for some styling, and I have the Live Visualizer module right here, and I am in the manage or the back end of the visualizer right now. So all the visualizers are obviously listed here. Our structures have its own tab. We have a content library tab. So what I'm going to do here is actually create a new structure to demo what we just talked about. I'm going to say I want to create a new structure, and we'll call this an employee. So like I said, Ederson, the very first thing we present user with permissions. Let's talk about security first and not as an afterthought. Who can see this data? By default, we let everybody see it, so it's easier if you're working on it. But if that's not the case, just get rid of it to begin with. Obviously, admin gets access to everything. So I'm going to go ahead and add back all users here just for our demo. There are some other interesting permissions here, and that's if you're doing some kind of app building. For example, if you're making an eBay site with your own listings and classifiers, then you only want the owner to be able to update their content or delete it. You don't want even the admins to come and play with it because it's the owner specific data and only they have access to it. So we can certainly go ahead and do that, but I'll leave that there. Hit next. So we just covered permissions, and next what you see is our live forms view. What you see is the live forms designer after I click next. So now you can build your structure. I mean, it's really super intuitive. I'm going to say employee information, and then we'll just drag a full name here. And I will also drag a drop down just to keep this demo short. I'm not going to put a lot of fields, but let's just say I have some positions to choose from. Technical lead, and then VP. And whenever I think I'm done with my my structure, I can close this window. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is full-blown live forms. You could create multi-columns just by drag and drop. You could create multi-page forms. You can write your own logic. So only show certain fields if certain criteria is met. All that is there. I mean, you still have access to all your actions. So I could have somebody pay me through PayPal after each entry if you needed to configure it, because all of our actions or all of our extensions can plug in as you need. So having said that, live forms is also extensible. You can always add your own extensions to add your own fields, add your own actions. So this truly makes it basically extensible in any direction you want to meet your custom business needs. We'll just keep it this way. I'm going to close this here. I see my employees right here. There's no data here. So one of the other cool things, Ederson, I think we did is we let the admins choose here what the title of this content structure should be. I'll call this full name, and what the description should be, and I'll just call that the position. And I'll show you in a second why we do that. Oh, I missed something. So I'm going to go back really quick and grab an asset field, because what I want to do is get an image of that user as well. So I'll add that in there too. Okay, so now we've done that. That's content structure. It's really that easy. You drag and drop and you create your structure that's as complex or as simple as you want. So let's kind of continue with our PowerPoint, and I'll come back and do more demos here. All right, so next we want to look at is the central content library. Once you got your structures in place, you can go ahead and manage your content all in one place. You don't have to go to 500 different pages, different modules. You just come to one place and you edit all your content. You can view, sort, filter any way you like. So let's go ahead and do a quick demo on this one as well. And for that, I'm just going to switch to content library here. And I already have lots of content that I prepared for this demo that you can see right here. But let's say I'm only interested in the employee structure I just made. So I go there and I have nothing yet. So this is what I was talking about, that you can sort, look at the data you want. There's workflow capabilities built in, address into live forms, so you can check by status. Is it pending approval? Is it approved? Is it published? So you can do all that here. You can look at data for a specific user. So you can see the data and slice it any way you want. You can only look at data that was added between a certain date range.
Mandeep, the author there is, of course, the person who created that content, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So for example, right now I'm looking at employee, and there's no data obviously because I haven't added anything, but I created some data earlier here, and you can see I have some data there. I'm logged in as admin, and then there's other users with their own specific data. So let's go ahead and add some content. If you are using the central content library, adding content is super easy. You just go right here to the top, add new content. I'm gonna say I want to add an employee. Go ahead, say Mandeep Singh and the CEO. And then, so I didn't do a great job here at setting up the structure. I didn't enable the uploads, and that's why it's not letting me go ahead and add any file. I can only browse. So let me correct that really quick. Let me go back to the designer of the structure. I'm going to go here. I'm going to say allow upload so people can upload their own images as well. I'll come right back in here. Try that one more time.
Mandeep, finish the form, but I would like to give a chance to someone to ask some questions here. I have some. There are some questions here in the chat. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not sure. John, do you want me to read it for you, or do you want to chime in and ask yourself? Okay, so here's the first one, Mandeep. So John asked, how does the efficiency compares with a custom, a more traditional hardwired approach? Or I think it's a more data traditionally done. You know, I would think so. Is that correct, John? Yeah, let's assume about that.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about performance there, Mandeep.
So performance. So our solution is built onto live forms, and like I said, we have people using live forms in thousands and thousands of rows and data and content. We are actually, that's one of the last things we're working is we're actually making final tweaks to performance to make sure that the system performs flawlessly with over 1 million records in place. So something we've already thought about, and we have that covered. Obviously, this is in terms of data. You don't have a normalized data structure in the back because it's all dynamic. You can go ahead and create any structure the way you like. So it's a flattened approach versus a more normalized data structure. But the performance has been taken care of in something that we actively work on. Again, it's not an afterthought that we're going to figure out, hey, this was done in a way that it cannot keep up with the efficiency. That is something that we're doing right now. So Live Visualizer was actually started as a project for a couple of our clients. They co-sponsored it, and we have some of these clients who have tons and tons of data. I mean, we have a client that's using Live Help Desk with over 5 million tickets in it.
Wow.
So that's one of the things we do is make sure that we internally test it with at least 1 million records to make sure that it's still working up to the mark.
Got it.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I just said thanks. That helps. I think computers are so fast these days that you can be a little inefficient and still have quick response time.
Yeah, absolutely. But John, what happens with web is that scales up pretty quickly. You know, that's certainly okay with a desktop application. You got one user and the computer is fast enough to take care of it. But in a website, let's say you got 100 concurrent users, and then the servers kind of basically give in. And then also you have to remember that a lot of the clients are also using products on shared servers that not necessarily have all the hardware resources that a dedicated server would have. So ultimately, performance is very important. We have to make sure that it is optimized in every way possible.
Awesome. We have a second one here, but keep going, Mandeep. I don't want to interrupt too much. Keep going, and then we can reconnect on the other one in a little bit.
Sounds good. So I'm just here hitting submit. I just added one employee, that's Mandeep Singh, CEO. And Ederson, this is what I was talking about. It automatically here shows you the name because I use that as my title and position as my description. So you could, none of this is hard-coded or baked in. You could decide what you want to show here. So it's super easy for you to look up the content. And then it's super easy to search. So, I mean, if I'm looking for just me, I can do a search and there I'm coming. And then let's say I'm hungry and I'm looking for some chicken. So I got content that has the word chicken in the title and description. It comes up right away. So super easy. You got your search, you got date range, author statuses, specific content, and the sort order to kind of manage your content in a central library. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more here really quick. Manish Kumar, the technical lead, and then I'll upload an image. There's him, and I'll hit submit. So I've just added 2 of them, and we've looked at how you can add content. Now, if I wanted to edit content here in Central Library, simply go ahead and click here, and there it is. It's super easy to edit as well. I can delete it from here too. Now, every piece of content, Ederson has its own SEO capabilities built right in. So you get to decide the meta title, the meta description, the actual URL for that piece of content. And we actually maintain a history on it. So if you ever decide to change it, don't worry about it. We can change it anytime. We will automatically do 301 redirects. So your SEO is never impacted. So all that is already baked in here. Let's go ahead and jump back to my demo really quick, and let's look at the next part, and that's the visualizers. So we've got our content defined. We have a structure in place. I've added some content. In our case right now, I've added myself and Manish as an employee. Let's go ahead and show this content somewhere. So that's where visualizers come in place. Visualizers let you write your markup in terms of templates, and then show the data. So with our visualizers, we have something called an auto-generate concept. So if you're not very familiar with writing templates, press a button and we'll generate one for you. Then you can edit from there on as you need to. And there's some more complex settings here called module instance specific options and settings we'll look at in a second. Then we have this autocomplete or kind of IntelliSense concept, and when you're writing templates to help you out. So let's take a look really quick. I'm going to go right back in here to the visualizers, and I'm going to say, so we've already looked at structures. We created a structure. We've looked at the content library to manage the content. I'm going to go ahead and create a visualizer now, and I'll just call this our team. And we'll just leave the data source as structured data. That's what we're talking about. The structure we want to use is employee, and we can certainly add a description, an image here to associate with the visualizer, but I'm just going to skip those, hit update. And here's the cool part, Ederson. If you're not, as I told you, you don't have to do a single line of code or even HTML or markup. If you're not comfortable with writing code or writing templates, you don't have to. At this point, what we've done is auto-generated a template for you in a table view. So first, we see our new visualizer right here, our team. I'm going to go ahead and apply this. So this is the visualizer that I will now see out on the page. And there you go. You see that Manish Kumar and Mandeep Singh are appearing in a table view for you. So here's the other aspect. Because we have the central content library does not mean you have to use it. If you want to stick to a traditional DNN approach where you want to edit content on the module, you can. If you have the permission at the data level, you'll see the edit and delete icons right here. So I could simply go ahead and edit it right here. I don't have to go back anywhere. This is all Ajax, so the page doesn't refresh. It's all super quick, super fast. And same way I can add from here too. So I'm just going to hit add, and we'll add Gagan right in here. VP, I'll upload his image as well. And I'd hit submit. And again, you have a quick loading icon come in, and there's Gagan right there. Super cool, super easy. So let's go back in. We'll talk about content display, presentation, and filtering later. That's the fourth part, but let's talk about visualizers more. We just created this visualizer. Let's say I don't like the table view. I mean, that's not appropriate for every instance. So what I'm gonna do here, Ederson, is auto-generate a card view and hit OK. And I'm gonna hit update, and let's go back and see. Now, all this functionality is built in. You don't have to write a code, but what I'm gonna get now, instead of a table view, I have cards. And we have a demo failure here. We should have had those images appear here automatically, which they didn't.
Mandeep, let me ask you a question. Again, regardless of demo failure or not, but you say that it auto-generates some templates for you. Do I have to have Portal theme or one of your themes so they can look nicely, look well, look good, or can I use Live Visualizer with the form, with the live form in a different theme that I may have? I mean, will that still look properly, or there are some caveats to that? I mean, tell me.
No, absolutely. So everything you're seeing here does not require Portal at all. So the auto generate here, with whether we're doing table or a card view, and we also have something called a list view, is self-sufficient within Live Visualizer. If you, and we're going to explore that in a second. Let me just show you really quick the list view. Actually, we can go ahead and do that. So in a visualizer, you have your templates. We got the master template that's shown in outside, and I can edit that template now. Because I auto-generated it, it created this for me. Nothing's stopping you to write your own. So if you're using somebody else's theme, you can use their shortcodes in there or write your own. Absolutely. What you see here is we have a concept that's similar to Bootstrap. We have the column D, the row, but it is not using Bootstrap, the complete in the background, because we didn't want it to add the entire dependency of Bootstrap just to power Live Visualizer. So we got the grid aspect out of it, customized it for Live Visualizer, and that comes in within Live Visualizer CSS. So it's theme agnostic. You could be using any DNN theme and it will work fine. We kept it the naming scheme similar to Bootstrap because people already know and understand that. The only thing we're doing is you got this LV dash appended to it. It is super easy to understand and read this code. Ederson, you can see right here, if somebody has the permission to add an employee, then we're showing the add button. Here's all our data that we're for looping on, creating an image here. There's the name we're showing. And then we're showing some of the edit links here that if somebody can update, we show them the edit link. If they can delete, we show them the delete link. And this is obviously for the front end. If someone happens to get their hands on the actual JavaScript code or the call, the same permissions are obviously enforced server level too. It's not like they can just bypass this and kind of get creative. So you have your master template, you have your detail template, and this is when you actually click on a record and you're just showing that one record, one content. And then you have a template for your pager below. So the style sheet I was mentioning is automatically linked here when you do the autocomplete. You don't want to use our style sheet, feel free to get rid of it. You can link your own, as many as you want. You can also write some inline styles here if you're doing something quick prototype or something quickly. Same goes with scripts. You can add as many scripts as you want. They'll be included on the page, and you can add some inline scripting as well. So that's visualizer templating style with styling and scripting. Let me really quick show you the list view auto generate we just did. And there's the list view. Again, the autocomplete is smart enough, at least it was in the last beta and preview. So we probably broke something, but we'll fix it. That it automatically picks up the first image field or asset field, and if it's an image, we'll bring it here for you. It's already doing it, but somehow not showing you the image. All right, let's go back in here and look at more functionality of visualizers. So Ederson, remember, the content has nothing to do with visualizer. The content was maintained and living separately in a content library. The visualizer is simply showing that data. We have not covered yet which data to show. By default, it's showing everything. So we'll cover that in a second. But let me still work on visualizer here because we have this one more concept. The visualizers are reusable. I can take this visualizer, our team, and put it in every page I like. And then I can decide I want to show maybe the HR only on one page and the management on other page. But what if I wanted more module instance specific settings? What if I wanted the HR to have a blue background and the management to have a red background? I'm doing that for a simplistic demo, but to kind of put this into perspective, let's say if this was a tabs module, what if I wanted vertical tabs on one page and horizontal tabs on another page? So that is handled with what we call is settings for a visualizer. Now, I'm gonna just call this options, and we again took live forms and reused it here. So you could create any level of settings as you like. To keep this demo simple, I'm just gonna take a drop down. I'm just gonna call it colors, or let's call it background color to be more precise. And let's just add some options here. I'm gonna say red, green, blue, and you can also say by default, let's keep it red. And then That's it. I've just defined options for this visualizer. So what happens now is, if I update this, what happens now is you get this settings icon appear. And you click on it, I get to choose the settings for this instance of visualizer. Let's say I want it to be green background. Remember, we haven't used this anywhere. We've just created them. So let's go ahead and modify the template and use them. I'm gonna go ahead and go to editor, our template, and I'm gonna, right here in the main div, I'm just gonna say, I wanna add a style, I wanna add a background, and here, I'm gonna go ahead and use our IntelliSense, and all I'm doing is Control Shift, and it brings everything up. And as you can see, you have everything for your employee structure in here. But what I'm interested in right now is the options I just created, which is at the bottom. So I'm gonna take that, and then I'm gonna do a Shift space to bring all the properties that I have in there. And one of the things I have available there is called the background color. And that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and update this. And if we did this correctly, we should have a background color outside. There we go. We have the green background. Now I could have green here, and on some other page, I can reuse that same visualizer, but then show it in a blue background. And this will switch this to a blue background. So we spent a lot of time and thought into building the solution because we wanted to make sure that it's not a hack. It's designed from grounds up to be able to address every scenario. So now remember, the visualizer and the content is disconnected. The visualizer and individual module instance are also disconnected. They have their own set of configurations. All right.
That's very good.
So,
Mandeep.
so I have Manish here. Manish, you can unmute yourself and join in. You don't have to text me, ping me. So Manish here is just pointing it out to me that I only uploaded the image. I never selected an image to show. So that's the reason it's not showing. So I'm going to select a file here and hit submit. And there we go. There we go. So that was not a demo failure. That was a user failure. All right. So there's the images. They're coming right back in. And I don't know which one I missed. Yeah, that's me.
Don't blame them. Don't blame them, Mandeep. Mandeep, don't blame them. Blame you.
Yes, ultimately is user error. Okay, so I think I've covered the auto generate. I've covered individual module instances, and I've looked at the auto helpers too. So let's go ahead and look at the content filtering. By far my favorite part, where you get to decide now what to show. I mean, here we're showing all the employees. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's see how we did that. I want to keep a tab here on time. We
good.
have until
we have a good 20 minutes if it's needed, you know.
Okay. No, I can go on for longer. So I'm glad you told me we have 20 minutes. Yeah. All right. So here's the content filtering. We got a nice little tab here. Click on it, and this is where you get to decide what's shown outside. By default, it's showing all the content for that structure. So it's showing all the employees here. But let's say I could say, I only want to display specific content, hand chosen. I'm going to choose what to decide. So here I can say I want only Mandeep Singh and Gagandeep Singh to be visible. Then I can actually go down and set the order. I want Gagan to appear first, me to later. So you have precise control over what goes and shown outside. You can still use the filters on the top to filter here. So you can choose, for example, sorting, which author created it, which status it is, the dates between it was created, and so forth. So that's one aspect. The other thing we can do, Ederson, is we can limit content. Let's say you're creating something that we want to show our recent joins. You know, these 5 employees just recently joined us, so I can say only show 5. And for just to demo it works, I'm going to say 2. So you'll see it only went down to 2. And I can say I want to show by the descending order, or if I want to show our most loyal employees. I'll switch this, and you can see that order change down there. I can always filter this, and we'll look at this active user signed in a subsequent demo in a few minutes, and then their status, and then their dates. So you could then limit the content to a specific number. You could also do this, Anderson. I could say I only want to show 2 records from last week only. So instead of looking at all dates, we can do last. And now I'm showing data only for last 30 days or last 5 days or 4 days. So literally we've not left any tool here that you could slice and dice this data any way you like. If you want to do within a specific date range, you can do it in a specific date range. Show all the data between certain date range. So you can filter it, sort it, dice it any way you like. My favorite part, of course, is doing filtering on actual data. Right now, you don't see that. So we have this filter icon, and I'm going to say, I only want to show data where position is equal to CEO. There you go. And this is dynamic, that is built based on your structure. The sorting is built based on your structure. You can see you can sort by the name, the position. If your data has 50 fields, you'll have 50 ways to sort it here. If your data has 50 fields, you have 50 ways to filter it here. But guess what? You could do your logic here too. I can say, show me CEO or show me VP, and if any of these rules are matched. So basically I'm doing a logical or. If I wanted to do an and, I'll say if all of these rules are matched. Now, obviously I don't have anyone who's CEO and VP at the same time, so I don't see anything. So this is what I meant by Ederson when I said you don't have to write a single line of code to do your visualization or filter. You could slice it and dice it in any way you like. All right.
Very,
so let's
very
go ahead and hurry up. Any questions?
No, I'm just saying that it's very flexible. Actually, let me interject the question that was posed before. I think that could be a good moment now. I mean, is that okay, Mandeep?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the question, which came from John as well, he is asking, what if you have your content in a certain structure initially, and afterwards, that's what I gather from the question. Afterwards, you change something in the data structure. Let's say that, I don't know, maybe you remove a field, or you change a field name, or you add a field. What happens with the existing data when you modify structure with data already in place? I mean, what is the behavior of the tool?
Nothing happens. We've taken care of it. So let me rename the field here. I've renamed the field. Let's add something else as well. Now, obviously, if you're going to delete the field, you're going to lose associated data, and you'll get a warning here. But you're welcome to change the data as you need to. Those are my 2 favorite hobbies. So. But let's see, if I were to delete this, I get a warning. If you delete this, you'll lose any associated data. So obviously I don't want to do that. So remember when we talked about permission initially, Ederson, and I'll cover that in a second. We've made sure that only those who know what they're doing can get to the screen. A content manager will never be able to come to the screen and do any harm. We'll look at that too. But here it is. I just added, I'm submitting this. I just need to close this. I just added some data. I still see everything looking fine back here. If I go back in here into content library, I still see my data, and let me just do recipes here. Sorry, wrong one. Employees here. And there's all my data. I can edit it, and now I get that option to add the hobbies. That was added later, and now I have that option. So that is something that we've already thought of, and you're more than welcome to. Actually, it gets even more interesting, and I'll cover that when we talk about exporting and importing visualizers and data structures. We've actually wrote code to merge them because we've thought of this already. I think it's a good time to go to the next section. Let's cover packaging, import, and export. So Ederson, if you're building your own visualizers, you don't want to keep building them. You can export them out and import them on another site. You can export them out and share it on our site so the community can benefit from it. So you build something, you built a review system, or you built a recipe app or something. So it's all there. All you got to do is hit this quick export button here on the right, and it just confirms are you sure you want to export, and you hit yes, and you get this zip file that is ready to go, and it has a JSON file. This one just has a JSON file, but let's say if I had added custom CSS or custom JavaScript in my editor, or if I gave it a icon here, all of those files and data would be exported out. So it's a complete export. You don't have to redo anything. When you want to import something, just come back here, choose the file. I'm gonna kind of show this really quick. In my downloads, I just exported this. So it's warning me, hey, this visualizer already exists because I exported and I'm trying to import the same thing back. Are you sure you want to override this? So I'll go ahead and do that. And it's also detecting that the structure already exists. So here now is telling me if you added any new fields, we'll merge them, but we're not going to delete anything because we don't want to touch the content. So you have the capability to incrementally update your packages and release them to the community without them doing a damage to the content, but they can still get the new functionality. So I just imported that right back in, and that went through. So that's what the packaging does. You know, it automatically creates the structures for you. It automatically creates the visualizer for you. And then you can do it import, export to share between your own sites, or we'll have a community exchange on our side where everybody can basically collaborate. All right, so this takes us to the concept of our themes and what we're doing with our products. So when Porto 6 comes out, and I don't have an ETA on that because I have a lot of customers already asking from the last preview video, most of the themes comes with shortcodes. So Porto 6 will not come with visualizers. So if you're using Live Visualizer, you don't have to fiddle with codes anymore. And I'm gonna do a quick demo on that right here. What that means is, let's say, Ederson, I'm writing not that here as well. I'm writing a sectional content, let's say tabs or accordion or something. And all I really have to do is then I can search for it, or I can filter from it, or I can choose for it. But if you got Porto 6 and you got Live Visualizer, you will, instead of using shortcodes, you can use visualizers. So I can simply say I want to show tabs, and all your data that is sectional data then becomes tabs, right? And then again, remember, we've talked about you have full control of what data to show. Let's say you're building FAQ. You could specifically choose specific questions and then order them in the way you want to. So you have full freedom on how to show the data. Let's say I want to change this from tabs to accordion, and this will become accordion. So super easy. And somebody who has Porto 6 or Live Visualizer, they will come here, instead of going to shortcodes and copy pasting, they'll search for tabs. They have tabs there. They'll click on the filtering, choose what they want to show, and they're done. There's settings built in, like, you know, where do you want the tabs to show, on the left, on the right, on the bottom? And this is powered by that module instance specific setting. You can choose the colors of these tabs based on your theme colors and so forth. So all that stuff is what's coming up from our product line.
Mandeep, let me interrupt you for a second. And you mentioned about community contributing their own visualizers, their own templates. Are you thinking? Are you considering? And I see that with the Portal theme, as you were just showing me. But are you considering coming up with a library of content types already that clients, they can leverage them right away from a repository of some sort?
Absolutely. So that's the idea of our community exchange. We want not just us to add there, but the entire community to keep adding there. So let's say, Ederson, if you're building a classified app, for example, instead of starting from scratch, you can look at our community exchange. Somebody already did something, download it, import it, and you can then modify it to whatever you need it to do, or just use it as it is. So it is absolutely, it's a repository where we will contribute and we want our community to contribute as well. And it's super easy. As you can see, it's just a matter of clicking a button and it exports it out to you. So it's super easy to go ahead and share. I mean, we could make it even further easier that, you know, a click of button, I'll post it to our site. We don't want to do that because 90% of our customers are web design companies and web development companies, and we don't want to necessarily do something or give the end user the capability to then, you know, do things that they don't understand. Obviously, you have to have correct permissions here to export, but you know, you'll be able to export a zip and upload it to our site to contribute. All right. Remember, Ederson, in the beginning, I said that it could be used as an app builder as well with extensible data sources. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back here and go back to Visualizer. When we created a new Visualizer, we were working with structured data source. That again. You have two other data sources. I can pull data from a SQL query directly. So if you have your existing structure data that you have, and this can come from a legacy database too. It doesn't have to be a DNN database because you get to choose your connection string up here. You can write your SQL query. You can cache the results that come back. You get all your tokens to use that you want to write the query with. And these are used, let's say if you want paginated query. So you have that option too. You have your select pagination query and a separate count query. And then you can go ahead and use that data. It's not just simple query. You can ask users to fill out a form, use that as parameters to a query. So you can build reports and everything. And I'm gonna just do a quick demo instead of setting anything up. Because again, the reason I keep getting logged on because I have a similar domain name. So DNN thinks that I logged out from the other one and I keep switching here. Let's see. So here's an example of that right here. I'm gonna apply this to the page and then also show you really quick. We created a visualizer called tabs. Wrong tabs, sorry. Let's DNN pages. We created a visualizer called DNN pages. In this one, you can see I'm using SQL query. And what I'm doing here is I'm using a complex query, not a simple query, because I want it paginated. If there's a million record coming out, I want it dumped at the same time. So I am here using a query, basically grabbing all the tabs from the DNN tabs, getting the counts out. I actually went on to make it more intuitive, to show a more complex example is I created my own parameters. So now I can have the user type in for a tab and I'll show any tabs that match that. So I, again, just grabbed the text box. Then here I got to use that token and I'm filtering on it. That's all I'm doing. I'm doing a like on it. So pretty simple stuff. I am paginating it. I could cache it, but I'm not doing that at the moment. So let's go back and take a look how that works. And here's all my tabs here coming. They're paginated. By the way, I use autocomplete here too, so you don't have to create templates by scratch. It automatically figures out everything that's coming back and does it for me. You can, by all means, go ahead and edit that template to show whatever you want and how you want it. And here I can say, let's say, I'm looking for a friends tab, and I hit submit here, and it will run my query again, and I found my friends tab. So again, the concept of app building that we can do with Live Visualizer. This is SQL query data structure. We also have, another example I want to do before we go. We're the same pages, but what we're doing now is instead of using our auto template, we created our own template, and then we added some script. So we went to Infragistics and we got their grid.js, and we wrote some JS and took their style sheet, and that same tabs are now, I'm going to apply this so we can see it outside. So same DNN pages are now shown into an Infragistic grid. You got your full sorting, full filtering. So basically the possibilities are endless here. You could do whatever you want with the presentation. You can export this data out, and all this is now powered by Infragistics. How this happened is we have this cool little flag here called JSON dump. You check that to yes, and you get all your data into a jQuery, into a JavaScript variable, which the Ignite grid can then use and then basically create its own grid. So that's that. We have one more data source right now, and that is called live forms. So let's say if you're using live forms already and you have somebody submitting feedback through live forms already, you could then take that feedback and show it on page. And I'm going to show that example here. Here I'm using a live forms instance. And basically to configure, you simply choose which live forms you want to work with. I don't have anything here, but that's the idea. So I have a live forms. Let's see if it's still working. I'll apply this, go back up, and yeah, there's the data right there. And this data, somebody had entered into a standalone live forms module. Probably disappeared again. I didn't test this through, but you could connect to a live forms module and get the data out, or you can go to a SQL query and get the data out. So our plan in future is it's extensible. So we're gonna add another data source called Web API, where you will give it a URL, username, password, and you can connect to any third-party Web API and get the data back in XML or JSON. And then you have all the data to use in your templates to do whatever you want with it. So that's one of the things that are also coming up. Let's continue this really quick. So headless CMS, I talked about this, and I'm going to briefly mention this. But before I do this, I want to really spend next 10 minutes.
That's okay. We still have good time. I mean, again, we have until the top of the hour. So again, you can take your time. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. So what I want to do is, in DNN documentation and Evoq liquid content documentation, they showed an example of how to create a recipe using liquid content. So what we did is we tried to do, see, can we do something similar? So I just Googled recipes, and one of the sites I hit was allrecipes.com. And then I saw that you could, waiting for it to load. You can browse the recipes by the meal type and ingredients and different concept right here. And you can pretty much, slice and dice the data in different way on their site. So we try to set up that example here, and I will go ahead and do a quick demo on that one now. And that's where all the sample data you were seeing from. All right, we got a bug. So help me out, guys, here. That's probably because I have a visualizer selected that I was working with, and the template is not correct or something. So we can skip that. Let's go right here to our recipes, and let's go to structures. So we have that recipe structure right there. I have 71 recipes in it. Let's look at the design view. We're asking for the name of the recipe, how many people it serves, description, how long it takes to make, ingredients, steps, pictures. This right here, Ederson, is a multi-page view. It's showing this as a different page. Now we're choosing the ingredients, the meal type, the cuisine, and all that good stuff. So we can certainly go to content library, add some recipes, but there's already 71 of those, so I'm not gonna go ahead and waste time. We've already looked at it. What we're gonna want to do now is see how this is working. So I have this on this home page. We've created the static links that are just going to the pages. Each page has live visualizer, but it's just reusing the same visualizer and data and just slicing it differently. So I could look at the data, I could look at all the Chinese recipes. The only difference here would be is that when somebody was configuring that recipe, in the cuisine they chose Chinese. So I'm looking at all the Chinese recipes. The recipes here has all the recipes here. And we can open one of these to see how it is set up. There's the servings, there's the time it's gonna take. If we go next, showing the ingredient here is beef, dinner, lunch, Mexican. So all that. Now, I haven't showed you this yet in the demo, but remember I was talking that we have a master template and a detail template. If you click on any of these, then you can look at the entire recipe. You see the full size image, you will see the ingredients, the steps, You see the preparation times, the servings. You can go back right here. This is where the SEO comes in, Anderson. Remember the meta title and title. You can see you have clean URLs, full control over the SEO. All that stuff is already there. So pretty cool. I mean, I can go ahead. This is one of my favorite ones. Is an ingredient list. I can bring up all recipes that just have chicken in them, and that tells you how granular control you have over your data and how you can slice it. So let's look at on this this right here on this page. Let's see, we have filtering, and they're showing all the data where ingredient has chicken. So extremely powerful. That one module, Live Visualizer, can power the entire site here in allrecipes.com at this point. And this is the first hit on google.com for recipes. So I think that's quite saying for a module if it can power an entire site by itself. Let me show you one more thing here really quick. Is remember I talked about eBay classifieds? So we have my recipes. Now this is only showing recipes that you've contributed to the site. And how we did that is, again, when you're slicing the data and displaying it, you can come here and you can say, we're only going to show the data for the user who signed in. He has to be the author, active user who signed in, right? So this way you've given them their My Account or My Recipes place where now they can go ahead and edit, manage, and delete their own recipes. They want to add new, they can add from here. They will automatically appear on every site. They can go ahead and edit and delete, just like an eBay listing that you can create, and it will populate everywhere it needs to. We have that concept right here too. So initially, when I was showing you structures, I said that the permissions, we have the option to only allow owner to update content. So if you're doing something like this, this is when you would want to keep this to yes. If I do that yes, even as an admin, I can't go change somebody else's content because they are the true owner. These are my recipes, so I can edit them. But if I were to go to recipes page, you will see that I will not have the edit. Well, that looks like a bug too. Again, outside we shouldn't be seeing this. If I'm wrong, Manish, but I remember we tested this in content library. I should not be able to edit or delete any content. As you can see, I don't have access to edit or delete somebody else's work, but I can delete and edit my work right here. So those permissions are being enforced in content library, but it looks like they're not being enforced outside. So that's something we need to fix. And hence it's not released. We still have a few minor issues here and there to address. But extremely powerful, and you can literally use this module to do a lot of cool things. One last thing I want to really cover here before we take any questions and call it a day is headless CMS. Remember, Anderson, I said that's one more thing we want to address with this. So imagine this, Anderson, a company contacts you, says, I want you to build me a mobile app where we can show recipes to the users, right? Well, you've just done 90% of the work by just installing Live Visualizer, because you could then give them access to content library and it's doing the entire CRUD for you. They can create, read, update, delete, manage all the recipes right here automatically. If they ever decide to change, to add any field to it, you can do it on the fly. And then guess what? You could simply create a visualizer. I'll give you an example here. Well, we can reuse a visualizer right here. You can simply create a visualizer, set the content view, what you want to show, right? And then automatically generates this API link for you. So you have all that content out going through a REST API. This is DNN permissions powered. So if I were to hit this without logging in, I would get a 401. But if I have the correct permissions to actually down to the content level, I will see that content. So use this with JW tokens, and you've done 90% of the work. All you got to do is create a mobile app, call this API, and show the data you want to show. You want to show, create sections like I did by cuisine, by ingredient. All you got to do is create a different visualizer, set the filters, and you have a new unique link. So within the link itself, you have your paging size and your page number that the mobile app can then use to kind of go through the entire data. There you go. That's what headless CMS. Headless CMS job is to only present the content back to you in an API format, and you do whatever you want to do with it. So Live Visualizer does that. I mean, in this example right here, I am showing so many recipes, but let's say if this was limited to 10 records that were lost. So let's say I wanted to show last 10 recipes added within this week. So I just did that, and still a lot. Let's just say last 2. I'm trying to do an API demo. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. I'm going to hit update first with a link to update. Then paste that link back here. And now all I got is 2 recipes. There's the submissions. It's telling me. So somebody asked the question, how do we know if somebody renames the labels or adds things? So everything is handled at a GUID level versus labels. So we pass you the labels along with it, so you know how to present the data in your app, but ultimately everything's happening at a GUID level. Every field is a unique ID, and that's how we don't lose track if you simply rename something or add something. But there's all the detail for that recipe. There's the detail right here with what ingredient, what cuisine, what meal type, and all that good stuff. In the very bottom, you also have headers. So your app can make sense out of GUIDs. They can map the GUID to a specific label. So if we decide to change the label in backend, it automatically gets changed across every single channel. You don't have to recompile or rebuild anything. Whether that's your mobile app, whether that's 500 different sites, whether that's a TV app, I decide to rename steps to something else, boom, instantly it's going to get changed over everything because we're working with GUIDs and not with hard-coded labels. So that's headless CMS right there that we wanted to go ahead and kind of address. I guess it would be now time to kind of address what's on the roadmap for version 2, 3, and 4, and so forth. Is one I already talked about is extensible data sources, so new data sources can come in play, and one of the one we already have working on is Web API. So you can I can call the weather API and get the data and then show it in any way I want. Another thing we're working on is reference fields. Right now, I don't have a way to do joins between structures. So that's one of the things we want to work on to be able to do join. One other thing we want to work on is version management. So when you add or edit and update the data, we want to create a history of it so you can compare or roll back if you need to. And then one of the more exciting pieces for me is inline editing. Right now, when you click on edit, I get the whole form. But what if I just wanted to edit the name? I don't want to see the form. I should be able to inline click there to edit it and be done with it. So some of those, and that's going to happen within your template. So those are some of the new things we have coming up in next version. Too soon to be talking about next version when we don't have the initial version out yet. So we'll focus on that first and get that out. I think this is it from us. Are there any questions?
Awesome. I have some. So I just want to first of all, thank you, but I'm not done. I have a few questions, but I just want to throw it out there. If anyone has a question, either you can come and join the mic or you can post in the chat while I ask my 2 questions here. Okay, so again, think about that. We have a few people in the chat. If you want, you can ask there. Here's my first question, Mandeep. And this is really me, my curious side here. It's me asking. I'm really curious about that. You said that this product has been sponsored. I don't know if it was fully sponsored by a client or partially sponsored, but my question is this. When you look at the marketplace, the DNN ecosystem, there are a few, by far, I'm not saying that they are similar, they have similar objectives, they may have implemented things in a very different way, but when you come across requirements like this, how, and you see that there is a product out there already done, free in the marketplace, and I know who am I talking about. How do you decide that, you know what? Let's not use that one. Let's do our own. And just walk me through the process of your thinking there that says that made you decide of, let's build one from scratch and let's build one that it's easier. I mean, better. It's up for grabs. But let's build our own. Let's build our own instead of using that one. How? Just walk me through that rationale, that process that goes on with your team and yourself. I mean, can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a multi-response question right there. There's not one thing that I can say to answer that question, and I'll share some of the different concepts. So you mentioned there's a free product out there. There's actually a couple and several open source products out there that do structured content editing within DNN ecosystem. And then we have a paid product, which is liquid content, that you only get with DNN Evoq. So what makes us decide, okay, let's create a new one? Well, first of all, we have different markets. Our clients would not want an open source project because there's no support to go along with it. There's no accountability. If something breaks and they want it fixed within 4 hours, they can't even pay somebody to do that because they don't have that kind of response time or accountability on the other side. So you have a different market that you're targeting to. So that's from the market perspective. And similarly, let's say somebody's running DNN Evoq. We have a lot of customers who run DNN Evoq, and they actually, one of the customers who's co-sponsored this is running DNN Evoq. And they decide not to use liquid content for various reasons. One being is they're storing all the data in cloud. They want all the data local. So that's what I'm trying to say. There's not one quick answer to this. Different users, different markets have different needs. So hence they came and sponsored. DNN Evoq is, liquid content is great at what it's doing, but their content filtering capabilities are fairly limited. So it doesn't meet the needs a lot of the Evoq customers. So that's one, market and different user groups. Then support in itself is the big item. A lot of people need support to go along with it. And then there's the ease of use and usability. Without naming anyone, I have had clients, let's not go to client. I've had my own team members, and they're here in this video and they're smiling, couldn't figure out how to use some of the open source structured solutions out there. Even after reading the documents and videos, they couldn't figure out how to do simple basic things. I happened to see a session at DNN Summit in Denver, and somebody was doing a presentation, and I saw it, and I went like, aha, that's how you use this module. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong, but some of those modules were made with a developer point of view, and they're targeting developers. When you have to use queries or funnels or visualizations, then an end user sometimes feel like it's too much. I was here to build a site, not to write code. So again, we've targeted a different market. Those solutions have their perfect market there. We're targeting a different market, somebody who wants it to use it without knowing how it works. And that's our hallmark. That's what I tell my team. When I use a product and I feel like it's almost too simple, that's when you guys done a great job. When I feel like I still have to learn and figure things out here, then that's not enough. So, like I said, I can go on in that question forever, but there's not one answer. It's multiple reasons that we decided and then our product right there is doing multiple things. So liquid content had that central content library and kind of concept, create once, publish anywhere, but it doesn't have the app building concept to it. You cannot really extend with a SQL source or with a web API or with a Liveforms module. So it wasn't extensible Some of the open source were extensible, but they didn't have central library, or they didn't had the filtering option. So we looked at the existing solutions out there, and we figured out what do we need to do to solve our needs and the needs of our clients.
Oh, I think it's a great answer, and I mean, you hit some great points there. The immediate support, that I mean, again, you hit very very great points. And actually, I have a segue question here, which will hit one of the things that you mentioned there. First of all, I want to say kudos to you and your team for the quality of your products, because here's the thing. Again, I've been in technology and in the DNN space for a long time, and I know how easy it is to overcrowd and overload an interface, an admin interface, with 1,000 settings, 1,000 options. The hard part is really, how can I simplify that? How can I get rid of all the excess and just keep it here, the essential settings? And I think that, again, you're not paying me to say that, but I think that you guys do a great job as to selecting what information you ask the users to provide, and assuming certain things and getting rid of the excessive questioning. You don't ask too much. So on that note, my question to you, and maybe open up to one of your team members, is what's your process, and how do you go about deciding what you should keep as settings, what you should get rid of, what you should assume? How do you trim the fat of admin interfaces to make things simple and just ask what is really important and as little as possible? How do you go about doing it? What's your process of doing that?
Yeah, so Ederson, there's a saying, it says it's simple to be complex, but it's complex to be simple. So I think at core of our entire company, that's what we try to do. The user experience or usability is extremely important. I was smiling there when you were saying what's the process, and one of the things that was coming into my mind is by being a pain and dash for my team members and keep scratching things off until we get to the level. I mean, it is, like you said, it's super easy to drag fields and keep adding UI. So in one short word, I think experience. We've been doing this for 15 years. So, and again, I'm quoting people here without knowing who wrote these great codes. And how do you get experience? By making good choices. And how do you know how to make good choices? By making bad ones. So when we started, we made a lot of bad choices. And I think over the years, we've learned. We have Manish here, who wrote and manages our common framework. And Gagan here, who decides the strategic approach. So one of the things you'll see across all of our products is they all look same. They all follow the same UI patterns. It's a win-win. The customer always kind of has the learning curve is already taken care of. They know one product, they know another one. It's a win-win for my developers. It's called re-usability. So they simply drag and drop things from the same toolkit and it all works quickly. It's a win-win for my QA. They know that if one component was tested, it was tested in every app. So yeah, in short, I think it just comes down to experience, that we've been doing this for 15 years. And I'm not saying that we've not made bad choices. We have, but over a time period, you figure out what works and what doesn't.
Awesome. Again, nice answer there. And once again, I just want to reiterate the consistency and as you're saying, it does take too much time for someone new if they are roughly familiarized with your tools, and even if they are not, again, it's very straightforward, very easy to use. I can attest to that at any time. So I don't see too many questions in the chat, so I guess that everybody is satisfied with your answers. Mandeep, is there any final points that you want to mention? Anything else? I mean, and I guess that if I can ask, is what is the launch date, if there is one already?
We don't have a specific date yet, and we don't put it in writing because we want to make sure the product is up to the mark. I mean, we still haven't done code freeze yet. That means we still have about 5 more days of development and fixing some of these bugs. Then I'll go through QA again, and until they approve it and everything's gone, and then we have to wait for our marketing team headed by again Gagan to make sure that we have the marketing material and documentation and everything else in place. And when all that good stuff happens, then we can set a date. So, but I'm very confident it's going to be this month, prior to end of this month. So definitely we'll see Live Visualizer going out. And while I'm talking about this, I want to put a plug in for ourselves. Our live storefront module, the e-commerce solution for DNN, something we've been working for almost 3 years now, probably more, is also releasing this month. It'll release before Live Visualizer, probably in a week or two. So that's also to keep an eye on, and maybe we can come back here and join you and discuss or demo that one as well. Our team lead Himanshu Sharma can join us for that one and present us what he has done. Also, are you Ederson? Are you coming to the DNN Connect?
DNN Connect? No, I'm not. Are you?
Yes. So I'm actually going for the first time this year, and
awesome.
Manish and Gagan and Himanshu will be joining me too there.
Wow.
So we'll have the team leads for Live Visualizer and Live Storefront, and Gagan will be there as well.
That's great. That's great. Again, enjoy the event. It seems to be, it seems that it will be a very good one, in very different vibe as compared to the ones that we are used to here in North America. You know.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So just to wrap things up, I mean, it seems that you don't go after easy stuff, because e-commerce is bloody difficult. And actually, I forgot to ask, how long has it been from start to be at this point for Live Visualizer in particular? How long?
Manish, I don't remember. When did we start a Live Visualizer? I think he's trying to unmute himself.
That's okay.
I think 6 months ago.
6 months ago. So that's not bad.
Not bad. I mean, again, congrats.
But it was pretty much done earlier also.
They got a 4-year head start due to live forms.
Okay, good one. Mandeep, again, and team, everyone, congratulations for the new product, and as just to wrap things up, congratulations for the quality of your products in general. Keep going. Again, you are really an example of a vendor, a stable vendor in the DNN space. We cannot say that every day with every vendor out there. You know, again, you guys are very, very there, together with a few other vendors that we can say something similar as well. But again, it's great to have the quality of products that you and your team, that you put out there. So again, very good having you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the time of all of you. And again, looking forward to seeing this live, to seeing the storefront live as well. As you said, you can join us in a future date to explore the e-commerce. I'm always afraid of e-commerce. You know, I cringe when I hear e-commerce. I said, oh my goodness, here we go again. But I think it got easier, you know, lately.
Remember the beautiful question you asked, why do it when it already exists? And I think e-commerce is one of those things that I had to pound over and over again. Should we do it? Should we not do it? Because it's not something you can get done in 6 months. That one literally took us over 3 years. We've been working on it. Probably more than 3 years now. I don't even want to think and compute the cost of the revenue that we put in just that one. So yeah, but same reasons, you know, like yourself, you use the word cringe. We don't want people to cringe when it comes to e-commerce and DNN. and I think that was our goal to accomplish. And
Okay, I'm gonna put that to test. I'm gonna get back presenter mode here, and once again, thank you so much. Thank you. I just want to wrap things up with let me see if I can get this back. Make presenter. Okay, perfect. So once again, thank you very much, Mandeep's team. Great to have you all here, and looking forward to see not only structured content live, but live visualizer live, but also the storefront too. Questions we have gone through already. We have gone through some comments. That was awesome. That was great. I just want to wrap things up saying that our next meetup will be on, let me have a look at the calendar here, next month, of course, the first Wednesday of every month. So it will be June 5th, and we're gonna be speaking with Kelly Ford. He will be talking about DNN Docs, the new website, the new place that documentation about DNN will be placed, documentation about how to admin DNN, how to create themes, create skins, how to develop modules for DNN, how to develop extensions. Everything will be there, is getting built there. Actually, it's live already. So again, Kelly Ford, he's leading that project, and he will be talking to us about that resource, what took to put it together, what do they need, because they need help. But again, once again, I just want to leave a big thank you for Mandeep, his team, and that's about it. Let me see if I can get my view here a little bit back. Actually, I'm not presenting. Sorry about that. I'm missing my final slides here.
There we go.
There we go. That's just the final hug. So again, thank you very much, everyone in the chat. If you are looking at this later on, again, join us in our next live meetup. But that's it. Have a great May, and we talk again in a month. Thank you very much, and bye for now.
Thanks, Anderson. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandeep. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.